Right now on WHS 11 Plus, after earning a title that had been elusive at UK, the winningest football coach in UK history, it is the coaching change UK fans were not shocked to see, but what they are debating and talking about tonight is massive $37.7 million buyout and who could be the next coach. It certainly makes this coaching divorce very interesting. The Stoops firing made official this morning. Most fans saw it coming after the Cats were shredded by arch rival Louisville 41-0 here in Louisville on Saturday. And that's why we are with you right now for this WHS 11 Sports Special. Hi, everybody. I'm Doug Proffitt. Sports Director Ken Spencer covered the UK U of L game. But, Kent, we want to begin with some late-breaking news on the potential new coach for Kentucky. Talks are heating up.
Yeah, ESPN's Pete Thamel is reporting that Kentucky has targeted Oregon offensive coordinator Will Stein as their top candidate in this, and the two sides are working towards a deal. Now, that deal has not been finalized yet. Just the two sides are working towards a deal. This does not come as a shock, Doug, just because, you know, earlier on in the day that we knew that Will Stein was going to be a major candidate for this job. Also, Ohio State offensive coordinator Brian Hartline. But Will Stein has a lot of ties to the Kentucky football program.
Can we talk about that? He's fascinating. Louisville native.
Louisville native.
Went to Trinity.
Played high school football at Trinity, won 3 state championships, holds their single season record for 54 touchdown passes thrown. Went on to play college football and quarterback at the University of Louisville for Steve Cragthorpe, Charlie Strong, his dad.
Because he couldn't get on at Kentucky?
No, I don't know why he chose the path that U of L, maybe the better opportunity, to be quite honest, of the two. But the fact that his dad played college football at UK under Jerry Claiborne, so Will had grown up kind of being a UK fan, going to UK football games, chose the path of the Cardinals, started his coaching career at U of L, and then followed Charlie Strong when he took the job at Texas to continue that career, has been at Oregon the last 3 years as their offensive coordinator, was a 2023 Broyles Award finalist, which goes to the top assistant coach in the country.
So we learned today, much to the chagrin of the fans, that both Mitch Barnhart and Eli Capilouto, the UK president, will be making this decision on the new coach. Is it almost sort of the Mark Pope hiring him once again? You got to hear you going back to a former UK player with such history and tradition under Rick Pitino, and now this guy's dad played for Kentucky football.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities here that honestly go even beyond Will Stein. You know, Rob Mullins, who is the current athletics director at Oregon, has been there for a long time now. You know, he got his start and he worked under Mitch Barnhart at Kentucky for years and years and years before he went out on his own and is out there at Oregon. Rich Brooks, former UK football coach, was also a very famous, football coach at the University of Oregon. Will Stein and Rich Brooks, I mean, there are pictures out there on the internet of those two together. They've formed a relationship over the years.
Beloved at Kentucky. They bring him back all the time.
He still comes back. He's still very close to the Oregon football program. An equipment manager. He used to be an assistant equipment manager for the UK football program. Is the head official equipment manager at the University of Oregon football program. So there are a lot of ties between the two programs.
So Stein is trending hot and heavy right now. So is this the kind of situation where this guy was just ready for the phone call and ready to go, and allows Mitch Barnhart to move fast, and that puts out the storm very quickly with maybe in a week?
You know, let's just be honest. Early on in the season, it looked like Mitch Barnhart was going to have to make a move. And I think you even heard Mark Stoops talk about that. Like, look, I've put the people that have to make this decision in a bad position. You know, like, I'm the one who kind of caused this. You have to think Mitch Barnhart had already started looking at potential candidates early in the season. And then obviously everything pivoted after a 3-game winning streak. You don't think you have to make it. It's probably the reason why things have moved this quickly is because he already had to do some due diligence early on this season.
Well, look at the setup. This is just fascinating. You can see Will Stein with Rich Brooks standing next to him and the beloved former UK coach, football coach, giving him the A-OK pat on the back. He's my guy. Just like when Rick Pitino came out of the ether and endorsed Mark Pope when there was almost fan revolt to Mark Pope's hiring. Suddenly, Pitino and Barnhart turned it around on a dime by their public comments.
Well, and think about this. Rich Brooks knows what it's like to compete at the University of Kentucky in football. He knows the challenges. He knows the pitfalls, right? And so you have to think that Will Stein has picked his brain probably in the last 24 hours, if not more, just about the potential of this job, what it entails, what it would entail to be successful at the University of Kentucky. Now, look, things have changed since Rich Brooks was at UK, right? Like NIL, the facility upgrades that they've been able to make over time. It's a much different job, and to be quite honest with you, it's in a much better place than what it was when Rich Brooks left it.
As we've seen, it's hard to leave Kentucky football as a beloved former coach. It's just hard. Not many of them have done it. Brooks is right up there. Is there potential, knowing how we see these coaching changes move fast, because the market is out there for them, that we have this done maybe even by tomorrow, maybe by the time the snow starts melting on Wednesday?
I know there is a great desire within the UK athletics department to have it done we could maybe hear about this, late tonight, early tomorrow, sometime midday tomorrow, that a deal is done. And the reason is the early signing period starts Wednesday. And so your rosters right now are in flux big time. Deals that you had in place, because let's be honest, it's a money world in college athletics right now. Deals that you had in place are not in place no more without the current staff. So you have to get somebody involved, somebody communicating with players, putting a staff together. There is so much to get done in such a short period of time. There really is no time to waste.
So by the time the snow starts melting in Lexington, you might have a new football coach. Aren't you going to be fascinated to see what kind of buyout is in this guy's contract?
Well, it won't be $37.7 million. I can assure you that.
Due in 60 days.
Yeah, due in 60 days.
So there we have the latest, the late breaking news from reports from ESPN that Will Stein is maybe the top candidate. Let's pick up the story. Let's give people the backstory of where all this began, Kent.
Well, honestly, Mark Stoops has been on the job 13 years. He had that big buyout from Mitch Barnhart, the $37.7 million. We'll get to that in just a second. But, entering this season, Mark Stoops knew he needed to win games. He needed to move this program forward in order to keep his job to get another year. I think that was abundantly clear. He had kind of expressed that to people, around and about. And it did not look good at the beginning of this season, right? But to be honest with you, the downfall of the program started about 4 years ago, the year after the Citrus Bowl. They brought in Rich Scangarello as the offensive coordinator. It didn't work. They ended up finishing 7-6. But at the end of the year, they beat rival Louisville, make a coaching change, bring Liam Cohen back.
Right.
Remember, because he had left for the year, Liam Cohen comes back.
It's head spinning.
Right.
You were there. Let's go back to the Louisville game Saturday.
Okay.
You were there. You watched the drubbing, 41-0, and then Mark Stoops sat down and he was asked if it was time to leave. And this is what he said.
0% chance I will. I don't, I'm going to be here as far as I'm concerned. Now, I can't control what, decisions that are made. If you're asking me, I said 0. 0 means 0. 0% chance I walk away.
So there he goes. And Mitch Barnhart, the athletic director, was on the sidelines watching that game. So with Stoops' dismissal per his contract, he's owed almost $38 million over 60 days, the contract says. However, multiple reports state that Stoops and UK have worked out an agreement. There could be payments over time. The amount of the years involved have not been released. And Kent, former U of L coach Bobby Petrino had a similar payout in 2018. Let's go back to Bobby Petrino. When he got fired by U of L his second time around at Louisville, his payout was $14 million. And U of L did it this way. They made it into quarterly payments of $1 million a year, and they spread it over 3 years. We don't know the distance on the Mark Stoops buyout payments yet, do we?
No, we don't. And it's critical, right? Because Kentucky needed this to be able to make this move. If they don't have Stoops being cooperative in all of this, it's highly likely they were not going to be able to make a change within their football program, because I had been told that several, 2 or 3 of the major donors didn't want any part of this buyout, that this was going to have to come from the university. So the fact that they got this cooperation allows them to be able to go out and get a new head coach, allows them to go out and get a new staff, and it allows them to be able to spend some money on players, which in the grand scheme of things in college athletics now is everything.
So I want to pick your brain. You were there Saturday after that game in that post-game news conference. When you heard him say it, nobody had to be surprised. I mean, Stoops couldn't be wishy-washy because he could potentially send a signal that would trigger that contract, maybe get him out of it. He had to say, I'm in it. If you're taking me out, you've got to take me out.
I mean, and the thing about it is, it's funny. I was almost getting ready to say, you have to read between the lines of what he's saying. Actually, you don't. He's saying, I'm not going anywhere. If you want to get rid of me, you're going to have to fire me, but I'm staying because I want my money.
Do you think before that game there was an agreement in principle? They had already gotten to the point where there had been some kind of discussions?
No, I don't think so. Because here's why I don't think so. Because I think when they won 3 games in the middle part of this season, I think Mitch Barnhart and university leadership thought that they were going to bring back Mark Stoops for another season. I think Mark Stoops thought he had earned the right to have another season.
Really?
But the bottom dropped out in the Vanderbilt blowout, and then, of course, you go into the rival game. He needed to finish the season strong. It wasn't like he needed to win both games, but they still needed to show up and to be competitive. They weren't competitive down in Nashville against Vanderbilt. They certainly were not competitive. They didn't show up. It was like they showed up and said, look, we were told we just had to show up for 60 minutes on the clock. Nobody told us we had to try.
So would we even be sitting here talking about this had Kentucky lost by a touchdown, or had they beaten Louisville? Would he still be the coach in Lexington today, even if they had lost?
Now look at the timeline of when coaching firings happen, or predominantly most coaching firings happen. On a game that's played on noon on Saturday, if you already know you're firing the head coach, 9 times out of 10, that announcement's made that night. At the very latest, it's made the morning the next day. This got leaked out Sunday night, late Sunday night around 10 p.m., which means they didn't start the work until after that game.
We're used to the Sunday evening leaks, though. That happens a lot. Were you all just keeping an eye on Mitch Barnhart, looking at his face, watching his face there during that game?
You could tell, like, everybody was just dejected on that sideline. And it was almost like Mark Stoops knew, standing there, watching what was taking place. I mean, you know, watching the lack of effort and the lack of fight that his team, showed. I mean, honestly, that's been a Stoops trademark at Kentucky. Like, sometimes they may not be the most talented, but they're going to be physical and you're going to see the effort. That was gone on Saturday. And once that goes, it's over. You could almost tell by Mark Stoops when he walked off that field, he knew it was over.
You know, we got a lot of UK fans in Louisville, but we went right to the heart of Wildcat Nation today in Lexington. Here's our Conroy Deluche and senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton talking to fans there.
Coach Stoops had a lot of success leading the Wildcats, and he picked up wins over Florida and Tennessee, the kind of which that the program had not seen in decades. But most of those big wins happened before the majority of current students step foot on campus. Solemn stares from fans in blue during Saturday's 41 rout by Louisville.
Disappointing.
Very disappointing.
Yeah, bad.
I thought we were going to be going good into it, and then we didn't play our best.
A second season without a bowl, a loss to a hated rival, and another losing conference record. This all left fans focused on the $9 million coach, the winningest in program history.
Get it? He seems like a great guy and a fine coach. This isn't the place for him.
I mean, he did transform Kentucky football, but like you said, the last 2 years have been rough.
Junior Jonathan Tisdale credits Mark Stoops for elevating the program, but
Mark Stoops, I hope you're out of Lexington. I don't want to see you ever again.
His bags may not be packed just yet, but there will be a new head coach for the 2026 season.
Just someone who could bring that winning mentality to the program, that doesn't accept, us falling short of bowl games every year.
Yeah, I'm excited for a new change for Kentucky football.
I don't know, the chemistry seemed a little off, so I want some more of that, like helping build the team back together.
Even UK students who are U of L fans,
I wear red to class, so I have no shame in that,
are interested to see how a coaching change could shake things up.
It came to a little bit of a surprise to me, but I think it was the best choice.
Students hope whoever the choice is brings excitement back to Saturdays.
So yeah, I think it's important. Passionate about it, but I think we'd be even more excited if we started winning.
Coaches may change, but in Lexington, there's one constant.
I'm excited about the future. You know, Kentucky to the day I die, regardless.
With senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton, Connery DeLuche, WHAS 11 on your side.
Well, Ken, I guess it was a sign how UK thinks of Mark Stoops. They sent out on social media a lot today. Thank you, Coach Stoops. And Aaron Stoops, the wife of his own brother, retweeted one of those posts on X today. He wasn't a hated man there. It's just the way this ended. And he brought them to glory they've never seen since Bear Bryant's days.
I mean, the all-time winningest coach in program history, 82 wins. He led them at one point to 8 straight bowl games. They've had 4 10-win seasons in the history of the program. He's got 2 of them, you know, and sometimes it's just time for a change. And you celebrate the accomplishments, but you also have to acknowledge that it was time to move on. And I think both things are happening today. And that's probably a really good thing to see, because Mark Stoops did a lot for that football program to elevate him, to make Kentucky football much more competitive on the national stage.
Well, we've had breaking news on the job search and the candidates, and you might want to go ahead and run down the complete list. There were other names out there. There's also another interesting connection to Kentucky with Brian Hartline.
Yeah, we've already talked about Will Stein, but let's get into Brian Hartline just a little bit. He's currently the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. Now, Hartline just started calling plays this season, taking that over from head coach Ryan Day. Brian Hartline played at Ohio State. He's always been a coach for the Buckeyes. But here's the interesting nugget here. His brother, Mike Hartline, played quarterback at Kentucky for both Rich Brooks and then Joker Phillips in his first season leading the program. So that's Brian Hartline's connection to the University of Kentucky football program. And then, of course, you have Dan Mullen. Both of those guys are coordinators. Then you have an established head coach in Dan Mullen, who just finished his first season leading UNLV as their head coach. Now, previously, Mullen was at the University of Florida as their head coach and Mississippi State. He had most of his success when he was leading the Bulldogs. So those are some of the top 3 candidates. But obviously, according to ESPN's Pete Thamel, the focus has pretty much solely shifted on Will Stein at the moment. The 2 sides are working on a deal. They have not completed a deal as of yet. But, you know, what these things, once they get moving, sometimes they move relatively quick. And you could see, you know, at some point, maybe in the next 24 hours, an announcement that Will Stein will be the next head coach of Kentucky.
A lot of those network sports reporters really putting out his name a lot. So they're being fed by good sources who were saying.
By agents.
Yes.
By agents.
And once again, Will Stein has a real motive to come back. A Louisville native, played at Trinity. Of course, his dad was a former UK player. What coach was he under?
Bob Beatty. He was under Bob Beatty at Trinity.
Okay.
And then at U of L, he started under Steve Cragthorpe and then transitioned into the Charlie Strong era. And that's why he followed Charlie Strong to Texas.
Do you know which coach his dad played for?
Jerry Claiborne.
Jerry Claiborne. Okay,
Yep.
Yeah, great Jerry Claiborne. Okay, well, that brings us up to date here, this WHAS 11 sports special, the firing of UK coach Mark Stoops with that buyout. Apparently, reports are that he will take it over an extended period of time, which should ease some of the pain on Kentucky. But as you're saying, those big boosters down there, namely the Crafts and others, are saying, not my money. You're not getting any of that. This coming out of the athletic department?
Yeah, there were several other boosters that said they didn't want any part of the buyout. Now, who knows at the end of the day if they didn't pony up a little bit something. But, you know, the fact that they were able to work out a deal really benefits UK athletics in all of this.
All right, for Ken Spencer, I'm Doug Proffitt. Stay with WHAS 11 and WHAS 11 Plus for breaking news updates on the search for a new UK football coach.